Hey Barry, I'm back from the store and I got all that stuff you asked me to get for the movie. Oh no. Barry! What happened to you? What were you watching? Invasion of the Bee Girls? Well, old Barry here always was a wuss for scary movies. How bad can it be?
Invasion of the Bee Girls is a 1973 movie made by Sequoia Pictures and directed by Dennis Sanders. However, if this looks familiar to you, you may have also seen it under its alternate title, Graveyard Tramps. Well, it looks like we're already getting into the dying. So we're introduced right away to the sheriff of the town, hard at work with our federal crime-fighting protagonist. And no, I'm not talking about this guy. Oh no, I mean this handsome vigilante right here. Anyway, the non-mustached man's name is Neil Agar, and he's been called down to Peckham, California, which is a wonderful name for a town, by the way, to investigate the mysterious death of a research professor. That is, before one death.
They just found another body.
Grows into multiple deaths. When that doesn't turn out, he goes to interview the librarian, Julie, at the laboratory. Why? I don't know, supposedly so we can book her, if you get me.
Yeah, I'm really sorry.
He proceeds to question her about her connection with the freshly deceased professor. It turns out they'd been having a bit of fun together, and, well, she describes it in very odd terms.
It happened.
What happened?
We bawled, and we bawled, and we bawled.
Oh, well, you know what my good friend LeBron James told me. Ball is life.
We bawled till he dropped dead.
Ball is also death, apparently.
Touche.
So what happens here? What actually happens here? Why is this man naked in a valley? Has this woman been driving this motorcycle naked down the entire road? Has anyone seen her? Why aren't they using protection? And also, this man is dead.
Oh, why? I just hate when that happens, don't you? Why? I can scarce partake in my favorite pastime without fear of death nowadays.
Here I go again. Oh my God, is he okay?
Cut the camera!
A dumb horny bastard.
Neil goes back to the university to question some of the dead professor's colleagues. They don't give him many answers, instead focusing on Dr. Susan Harris, a sunglasses-clad woman with suspiciously insect-like legs. They refer to her as distant, and maybe even cold.
Iceberg. Iceberg.
Remember, boys, there's always the 6/7 below the surface.
I remember that day. I remember it all too well. The iceberg, only that damned iceberg. It showed us only 1/7 of its true destructive potential before it rendered my ship asunder, casting my crew and myself into the cold depths of the ocean.
Why, cruel iceberg? Why won't you take my crew?
It was a dark day. The death toll continues to rise, and the police department believes that the problem is related to all of the victims having...
Bawled.
A town hall meeting is called to suggest a town-wide abstinence movement. I'll let the town's resident smut scholar tell you why.
Venereal disease, which as many of you are undoubtedly
Louder!
aware.
Louder! Oh, see, he gets it!
Venereal disease, which as many of you are undoubtedly aware, has swelled.
The expert recommends that the town no longer have sex, as it could cause more deaths. However, everyone in town is an insatiable pervert, and they don't take to this recommendation kindly.
Sexual abstinence.
Hold it! Now just hold it right there. This is the stupidest damn thing I've heard of yet. Now I agree with Sam here that you guys over at Branchwood's done it. Right. One of your goddamn experiments backfired on you, probably. Well, let me tell you something. Me, for one, ain't gonna give up a little pleasure I get from screwing my old lady, or anybody else for that matter.
Oh, and then he gets killed also.
I believe you knew my late husband. Mind if I walk with you?
Then the professor dies, and our boy Neil has to make a phone call. He sends Julie back to the car while he does this. After all, what could possibly go wrong? There's plenty of policemen in the area after a literal murder.
Gals want to play rough, huh? Is that it? Get it.
Oh, oh no. Oh no.
You managed to do me, and there's two more fellows here that'd like to have a crack at it.
No, thank you. I don't like this one bit. I don't like it at all.
Or maybe they just might cut you open and examine you as a medical phenomenon.
B-girls. Librarians. What does it all add up to? Of course. She's a medical phenomenon!
What is this scene? Why does it exist? It never comes back. Not at one point during the rest of this movie does this scene matter. I guess every single man in this town is so desperate to get ballin' that they would attempt to rape a woman in an area where, once again, the entire police force just was. What? Who wrote this movie? So many lines or scenes don't make sense or are just plain awkward. Nicholas Meyer.
Nicholas Meyer. Where have I heard that name before? Oh no, it can't be. This man
is almost single-handedly responsible for saving the Star Trek franchise. This man wrote and directed Star Trek II: The Wrath of Khan, a classic science fiction movie, not to mention several of the following Star Trek movies, the animated film The Prince of Egypt, as well as contributing to the script of a literal James Bond movie, Tomorrow Never Dies. And he still writes for the new Star Trek series to this day.
So it's IMDB.
So our friend Neil goes to visit sex scientist's house and he finds his secret bookshelf glory hole. Oh, no, sorry, I mean button. Oh, no, I was right the first time. His secret lover and Neil brawl it out in a sex dungeon before sitting down and having a nice talk about sexuality.
The rest is history.
Elsewhere, suspicious bee-lady has a talk with Larry David's less charismatic twin, and they... Oh, I'm sorry. What were we talking about? Sorry, I keep getting distracted by something.
I'm sorry. I'm just a bit thirsty. Sponsored by Pepsi.
Something extra special.
Now, where was I? Oh yes, and Curb Your Enthusiasm for this movie plays right into her hands, very quickly jumping into the hive to cheat on his wife because, as mentioned before, everyone in this goddamn town is a sexual deviant with the mental strength of a peanut. And after a painfully long scene of undressing and caressing, the two lovebirds, or should I say love bees, finally get down to making some honey for the hive. Before they... Oh, Christ! Meanwhile, these two learn about saving the bees, and Bee Lady somehow has the time to coerce horny, now 6 feet under McBowling Ball Face's wife into sneaking away to the lab. Neil goes to investigate, and the FBI-sent investigator fails to ask Dr. Harris several questions that would have ended this movie early. Why are you not wearing pants? Why are you wearing sunglasses indoors? Why are you acting so goddamn shifty?
Anything really. Any question at all. Like, can I have a pot roaster? Can I have a honey glazed ham?
Look, Mr. Ager, I'll answer anything you like. Just please be as brief as possible. I'm in the middle of an experiment.
Dr. Harris. How many times does a queen bee mate?
Only once,
Just once?
and only to reproduce. Once accomplished, she never mates again.
Yes, thank you, Doctor.
So this is followed by a simply bizarre scene in which the B-Girls' master plan is revealed, to make more B-Girls. The process through which B-Girls are made is predictably needlessly sexual and involves a lot of white cream. That girl is going to be hairless by the end of this mess.
Now, keep in mind, what I'm about to show you actually takes place over the course of about 10 minutes. And yes, I mean 10 whole, uncomfortable, unwatchable minutes. Just watch.
Have you taken that in? Yeah, I thought so. 10 minutes without a single line of dialogue to ease our pain. Actually, come to think of it, dialogue might have made that whole scene worse. I don't know if that's possible, but that just might have accomplished it. Why? Why the shaving cream? Does this possess some kind of supernatural power?
I must cleanse my body of the impurities which it has sustained. I must become one with nature, one with the insect kingdom. Free, pure, free.
So as they sensually rub themselves, the bee posse turns her into a bee girl, as you can tell by the eyes. Dear God, those eyes, they see through me, they see through you, they see through everything. And just as abruptly as everything else in this film, boom, we're in a steel mill. And he's dead. Okay, first of all, why are you having sex in a steel mill?
Wait, haven't I seen you someplace before? Oh, it's Mr. Freeze's perverted cousin. You remember him, don't you?
Right.
B-girls, man. You know, back in my day, they'd sex you to death and then they'd leave you at your place, some of your dignity intact. But oh no, nowadays they just gotta drag your bloated sex course off to the gulag for some fucking reason. God, millennials.
Second of all, what is with this movie's random corpse obsession? After the first dozen of them, the shock value has worn off somewhat. Just every 3 to 5 minutes, boom, sex corpse. A boom, a sex corpse. A boom, a boom, a boom, sex corpse. Anyway, somewhere that isn't the factory, our favorite mustachioed sheriff goes to check on a widow. Which one? I don't know, fuck it. Whichever one she is, she's a bee, and she tries to seduce him, hoping to end yet another innocent man's life.
Keep me company in my time of need.
Miss Klein. Oh, Mrs. Klein.
Sir, for your valiant efforts both at home and on the battlefield, I want to award you with the highest honor a member of our force can receive. The Thought Patrol Medal of Honor. God bless you, my good man. God bless you.
This man, a moral code of titanium. Every other guy in the goddamn town, when a bee starts a buzzin', they just fall into the hive. But not Macho Man Marvelous Mustache over here. He smokes out the bees, sprays them with a big old can of Raid, and takes the honey for himself. What a gentleman.
That's not science, that's fiction.
Following a quick exposition scene where the science guys talk about bee-girl science in a funeral, finally some decency for the dead, we go to the home of the celibate scientist. Yeah, remember him? Lots of scientists in this movie. Where his wife finally decides that he's attractive and tries to do some of the old, when it turns out she's a bee too. Finding out something so devastating must surely hurt a man. He must feel conflicted, destroyed.
Jesus Christ. Just when I thought this movie couldn't surprise me anymore, he just doesn't even hesitate. He just chokes a bitch out cold, like, goddamn.
While examining yet another murder scene, Neil has a shocking realization that this lady who keeps coming up in his investigation, the one who has shadily dodged all his questions, and the one who looks just like a bee, could possibly, just maybe, be behind all this. He psychically discovers that the bee lady is endangering Julie across town, so he dashes, and I mean dashes, off the lab. Once he arrives at the lab, he finds the women mid-cream session, and the queen bee threatens to dispose of Julie. He shoots up the place, grabs Julie like a basket of wet bread, and makes his escape, locking the bee women in the lab. It's very chaotic and very loud, and a lot of the women of the town die, some in pretty graphic ways. There's a lot of things that need answers here, and plenty more questions that may never be answered. How will the town ever begin to cope?
But I still don't understand what motivated them.
I didn't even edit that. This movie just goes from skin face melting bee girls to Mustache Mountain over here asking the question that I think all of us are asking about this movie, specifically the creators of the film. He doesn't even go for like a question that would make sense, like who made these bee girls or how are the bee girls created? This is the question he goes for.
Captain, we look to you to lead the force during these dark, dark times, to fight the battles that need fighting, and to ask the questions that the public is too scared to ask. So now I ask you, sir, what do we need to know?
What motivated them?
God bless you, sir, and thank you.
So Julie explains that the bee girls needed to reproduce in order to reproduce, and the sheriff accurately responds.
Goddamn.
So it's finally over. Julie talks about how the whole thing has inspired her to take karate lessons or some shit, and Neil clearly doesn't care, so why should I? And the movie ends as it has lived, with mindless ballin'.
I'm glad that's over. I'm gonna need something to help me forget this fever dream of a movie.
Ding dong.
Oh, that must be my friend Allie, who is absolutely normal and in no way, shape, or form a B-girl. No, it can't be.
Hello, Marley.
No!
Buzz buzz.
Action.
Oh, you know what they say, ball's life. Well, old Barry here was always the one.
Shaving cream that smells of lemon lime.
They're shaving cream.
It smells like key lime over here.
Darwin, it's okay if I...
Literally, it looks like you're wearing a turtleneck. I can't handle this.
Buzz buzz.
Bitch. Oh!